So hey, there's this term that's been used quite a bit lately on TV and golf instruction videos on YouTube. It's called ground reaction forces. Maybe some of you have heard of it, maybe some of you haven't. It sounds very technical, but you know it's associated with power. So hey, right after this, let's talk about what it is and how we're going to harness more of it so that we can get more power and distance into our swings. So stay tuned. Hey, this is Steve with HitItLonger.com. I'm on a journey to hit it longer and straighter down the fairway, longer and straighter all the way to the green, because that's what makes golf fun for me. If you're on the same journey, I hope you'll consider hitting the subscribe button, liking this video if you liked it, and leaving a comment down below. Let's get a conversation started. So when it comes to building more power in a golf swing, as I say, I like to leave no stone unturned, and that includes any techniques I can use in my golf swing that will help me get that boost of club head speed and added power and distance. And ground reaction forces is one of those. Now, of course, it's been around since the beginning of time and motion, because every time you take a step, you're creating a ground reaction force of some kind. Basically what it is our body, our muscles contract. They push force down into the ground, and the force pushes back on us, actually creating the movement that we make. So the ground forces are causing us to move, but we cause the ground. We try to push on the ground first. So to better understand ground reaction forces, I think a good place to start is understanding three of the major forces acting when we swing a golf club, and that would be horizontal, or when you shift mass or body weight towards the target. Then you have the vertical force, or the force that goes down into the ground through our heels. And then you have rotational force, so the force that causes us to rotate our body. Now first, horizontal forces are really important to look at because of the way they translate. So when you move your body weight in the downswing towards the target, drive your body at the target, and you're actually moving mass, as evidenced by I'm able to stand on one leg. So I've moved my body's mass from the center of my stance in between all the way over to a left foot balance. So I've actually moved my body mass considerably, probably half my body width, or 7 or 8 inches towards the target. So when it comes to horizontal forces, the first thing I think of is Happy Gilmore, played by Adam Sandler. You remember the movie where he goes and gets a running start and he hits the ball 400 yards down the middle every single time. As it turns out, that running up approach actually works. It's actually been proven to raise your club head speed a good 6 or 8 miles an hour, probably more if you got more proficient at it. But that run up is also going to cause you to be really inconsistent. So it's not really a viable technique if you really want to play good golf, just too inconsistent. However, we can use those principles to increase, or what I think is double, the amount of run-up speed or horizontal force moving towards the target in our swing. So for this, I've enlisted my favorite chair just to show you. Here's a typical swing that's being taught, and that is just to shift towards the target from a 50-50 position in the middle at the top of the swing to over to the left foot. What I think gets overlooked here is the amount of wind-up that you can do that will lead you into a higher horizontal force going the other way in the downswing. So you might consider this. You can more completely move your body's mass away from the target. As evidenced, I'm able to almost stand on my right foot alone. So I've made a more complete shift of weight, and I have unweighted my left foot. So most of my weight is in the right foot. Most of my body's mass is standing on the left heel here like this. So this is a more complete wind-up and an unweighting of the left foot. That way, I can get more velocity, more horizontal forces going back towards the target when I swing down. Now, why are horizontal forces important at all? Well, as we saw in the Happy Gilmore situation, or the example, extreme example, you can maybe get up to 8 miles an hour more club head speed because you are adding the linear amount that you're traveling towards the target in miles per hour to the swing of the club head. Let's say that you're in a car and you drive the car 30 miles per hour down the street, then you roll down the window and you throw the ball 30 miles an hour ahead of the car. Well, that golf ball will get to add the two speeds together. So the car's moving 30, you throw it 30, the ball was actually traveling at 60 miles an hour because while it was in the car, the ball had already been accelerated to 30 miles an hour as is. So it's going 60 miles an hour. So therefore, whatever you can get your body going to is going to add a little bit. Now in this case, linearly or horizontally, you can really only get, I don't know, 2 or 3 extra miles per hour because you just can't move this way that rapidly. But where it is making a big difference is the way that the horizontal force is converted into vertical force, which would give us our ground reaction forces downwards. So that's the really important one. So I'll give you an easy example that you can understand how this converts. Look at the Olympic sports of high jump and long jump. You'd think, well, if I'm just trying to jump high, why would I need to run up horizontally? Why is that helping me jump high? Because I'm running along the ground. Well, actually, as it turns out, that through the mechanics of our body, motions in the high jump, you're actually converting horizontal velocity into vertical velocity. The same thing with the long jump. Well, long jump might be more important to get going fast down the runway. It's still the guy who can launch himself at the highest angle often is the one who wins. So it's the guy who can most proficiently convert horizontal forces into vertical forces. We're doing the same thing in a golf swing, but pushing down into the ground, the harder or the faster we step over. So the more you can get your body moving horizontally towards the target, the more you're going to convert that into vertical force down into the ground. Of course, the ground will react back against us and cause us to move in a way that's going to give us more club head speed. So we've kind of covered the horizontal and the vertical. There's only one left, and that's rotational. And it's real interesting because there's so much cause and effect here. So as we're in the process of throwing our body down the fairway up the target for more complete wind up and weight shift, stepping over to a more complete weight shift going this way, which means we're going to have a larger lateral travel back and forth than what's normally taught here on YouTube. But those ground reaction forces we're creating as we step down hard, bam! So as we shift over quick, it's going to cause us to step down hard. We're going to put force down into the ground. This is where the rotational comes in. The more force we put down into the ground via our left heel as we step down into it, the more that the vertical force converts into rotational force. And we know that the faster we can get the carnival ride going, you see, the faster the club is going to move, the faster the carnival ride spins. Add to that the independent variable of the 180-degree wrist action, which is multiplying by the spinning carnival ride that we have going around with our bodies rotating. And then we get an amazingly high amount of club head speed. So ground reaction forces can be harnessed, or at least more of them can be harnessed, by simply creating a quick horizontal motion and stepping down this way and driving the weight down into the ground as we step into our left foot or our front foot. From here, all the energies are going to be converted into the ones we want, and we're going to get a lot more club head speed. All right, so let me hit a couple for you, and we'll break them down in super slow motion. You'll be able to see how my horizontal is creating vertical, and vertical is creating the rotational, and how I'm able to get power into this by planting my weight into the ground after I've unweighed that foot with a good wind-up. Now there are golfers out there, super powerful golfers, that plant off the ground with so much force that it actually makes them lift off or jump. So they're actually overcoming the force of gravity. They're pushing so hard down into the ground. Now, extreme examples of that are guys who have been long drive champions. Joe Miller is a great example, a two-time champion, completely jumps as he's rotating and comes down with his feet in a completely different position. Now these athletes are using the ground to the extreme, but this is not a natural motion for most of us. It seems to be just either happens or it doesn't naturally and athletically. So if this is something that you do, if you tend to kind of lift up and replant the left foot again as you turn around it, I'd tell you not to stop doing it. But I also would tell you, don't try to chase that. Simply concentrate on getting a good move, wind up off the ball, stepping down on the left heel with quickness. Don't try to push off the right foot, at least in your mind, but instead quickly step down and turn. And watch as I'm going to go from flexed knee, pulling that knee into extension like this. That will get your center of mass to swing down and back up again and create these natural forces that you're going to need to hit the ball way out there. So don't try to do anything crazy like train yourself to push off and jump. I don't think that's going to bear fruit for most of us. So hey, I'm going to go back to working on increasing all of my forces, my ground reaction forces in my swing, in my pursuit to hit it longer and straighter. But thanks for joining me and watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Would you please leave a comment down below and let's start a conversation about this. Hey, thanks again to Golf Development Complex in Moorpark, California for hosting us today. And hey, if I don't see you in the next video, I hope I see you longer and straighter down the fairway.